Hey, what's up, Liron here. Today I want to share with you a unique figure drawing exercise that will solve your problem when it comes to figure drawing. This is different from what you've seen before from me and other artists because I'm going to use a hybrid approach. I'm going to use stuff like the envelope, gesture drawing, orientation in space, three-dimensionality, construction. Let's get to it. I'm going to scrub through the process with you and explain. So the first thing I'm doing is I'm looking for one line, one gesture line that can express the entire figure in its pose, and this is really cool. Check out this line from the lower left corner of that leg all the way up and then curving. Now the reason I got this curve right on that right side is look at how her arm stretches out with the sword. That is something that I really wanted to convey, and it feels to me like if I negate that first curve I did for the left leg and continuing it up that way, I will create a more interesting pose and more dynamic. Now look at what I'm doing. I'm triangulating. I'm trying to find the other leg, where the other leg is. This is in order to build what I call the envelope. If I can envelop the entire figure in lines that just help me know where I am, I know then where to place the details within those lines. And the way I do it is by finding from the points I already have two angles that make sense. And this is a matter of feeling. So if I go back a bit, you'll see I'm figuring out what's the direction where I need to move with the pencil to find the leg from the other leg. And then I do the exact same thing from that side, that right top corner where the arm is. Not where the sword ends, but where the arm is, where it grabs the sword. And that helps me estimate that angle. We're talking about estimations here. This is not 100% accurate. How long is the first line I drew? Again, estimation. And where does the curve change? A lot of it is I estimate. I go with my instinct. It takes time to build it. Now I'm using the exact same process to find where the head is. And check it out. I'm following that curve of the arm to find the other shoulder. Now we have the other shoulder in and a general placement for the head. Okay, and I'm pausing this video on purpose because it's really important to show how this is built up step by step. Now the arm, this is the easiest part, and I figure, okay, the arm goes this way, then that way, and where it ends is where it meets the torso slash where the hip begins, I guess. And you can see the arm goes inwards a little more than the shoulder. So the corner I have there for the shoulder, I'm going to continue it and go past it a little into the torso. Now from there, I'm trying to find a curve to describe the top of the pelvis. So you'll see me kind of drawing a bit of an underwear look. That's how it goes, really. Now I want to show you, and you'll see it in a couple of seconds. Now look at this curve I just put in. Why does it go this way instead of that way? Why does it curve this way in particular? The reason is the torso is tilted ever so slightly to our left, to her right. It's very subtle, but this is why I put it this way, and I'm going to show you to the side in a second why exactly. So you'll see the upper part, the torso, is facing a little bit to our left, and the pelvis is facing more towards us. That helps us create this curve. Notice here, I'm going to curve it back. See that? And it makes for a more dynamic look, because if you look at the reference, you'll see that the body twists a bit. There's a twist there between the pelvis and the torso. So what you end up with is one part facing to the left and another part facing to the right. And you get these nice corners there where you see me placing it right now. And they negate, they go the opposite direction. You see, corner goes like this and then like that. This is exactly the kind of thing that, and this part goes to the left, this part goes to the right. This is exactly the kind of thing that leads to a dynamic motion. Now, it's not like we are inventing that dynamism. We're observing it and figuring out if it's there. And if it's there, do we want to exaggerate it? And in this case, maybe I have exaggerated it just a bit, but in that exaggeration lies the storytelling, so to speak. So you'll see me repeating that exact curve I just placed there, and look at how it fits right into the pose. It's a little more exaggerated. What I did there to the left is the bean. That's something Proco does a lot. I think he invented it as far as I know. This is not my original idea, but I combine it with my approach. Now you see this kind of underwear thing that I placed there will help us know the orientation for the legs. Now here we already have the envelope. So this allows us to place in the details. And this is exactly what we're gonna do. We're gonna pull a line for that leg. We know where the foot is because I kind of marked it there on the ground, and we're gonna connect it. We're gonna do the exact same thing for that other leg. Now, here we have something very interesting called foreshortening. Because that leg, and this is what attracted me to sketch this scene, because this leg is so facing away from us, the parts that are farther, the farther it goes, the smaller it appears, which leads to an interesting discrepancy, and I'm going to show it to you in just a moment. Now look at how long this leg is to our right. Her left leg, upper part, is longer than the other side, because the other leg, her right leg, is facing away from us, which makes it look a little shorter. This leg, on the other hand, upper and lower part are somewhat equal in length. You're going to see this in a couple of seconds. Now look at the knee. The knee is one body part that you can really simplify as a box. If you're able to see its orientation in space as a simplified box, and this is something I've talked about before in other videos, one of my most viewed videos up to this date is how to make everything into boxes and help that and use that to help you see the orientation in space, right? So we're looking at the knee as a box, and that tells us exactly where the leg is pointing, gives us a clearer view, okay? It's sometimes hard to tell. You're looking at a round object and trying to figure out how would I turn it into a box? How would I turn it into a cube? How will I turn it into an object that has square angles, right, and corners? It's not the simplest thing to do, but with time and observation, it will open itself up to you. Okay, now I'm placing in the foot. The foot also, I'm simplifying, is kind of a pyramid triangle shape. This, again, something that comes with experience, and I'm nowhere near where I want to be with seeing these things and being able to simplify them. I still have a long way to go, but I'm starting to see these things, which is why I'm able to do it. Now look at the distances. Remember what I told you, foreshortening. The upper leg is, from my measurement, approximately double the length visually of the lower leg, which is insane to think about. I'm going to write it down, almost a half. Now, this happens because it moves so much away from us, and farther objects appear to be smaller, so the lower leg there appears almost a half of the upper leg. And maybe if we combine the foot, we get an equal length, right? Now, if you look at someone just standing up, the upper and lower leg are approximately the same length, approximately. There are some minor differences. You can get into them if you study the anatomy. It's not as important, especially in the beginning, but here it's really, really extreme. And I want to show you another example where it's not like that. So I'm going to grab just a different sketch and I'll look at, for example, this pose, upper and lower leg, approximately the same length. And maybe I drew it inaccurately, maybe the human body is inaccurate, but still, look at this, it's a stark difference, sorry, not starking. But in any case, yes, so we have a lot of details now, and all we have really left to place in is, this is approximately, again, the same length, is the arms in more detail, and the head. The head is not the easiest thing to place if you don't start with it, actually, I found from experience. But look at this, I'm finding that line of this muscle, this sternocleidomastoid. I'm using that as a guide. This is something, you know, from experience you'll learn to see. But you can just measure, like I have in the beginning with the entire envelope. If you don't notice things, you can always take a pause and measure them. Figure out, are my proportions correct? Are things aligning the way they should? Is the edge of the head aligning properly with maybe the edge of the pelvis in this example, right? All of these small things that you can always pause, compare, examine. The more you do this independent examination, the more you'll be able to place these things in. Now we're going to put the sword with a swoosh. We don't need much more than that. We're going to connect the other arm. Remember, I marked the shoulder with that beautiful gesture line, so that's the edge of the arm. The way things connect is a little complex with the shoulder girdle, I think it's called, or the shoulder blades, and how they connect to the scapula and everything. That's something that comes again with a bit of a deep dive that you'll do independently. But visually speaking, purely visually speaking, this is how things connect. The shoulder muscles have a very different shape to what most people think they look like. Let's say instinctively, there's some complexity going on there. But in any case, look at what I'm doing now. I'm marking the orientation of the different limbs in space. Is it going towards us, away from us? Imagine you're wrapping a rubber band around it. So what you've seen so far is a process of envelope, gesture, and now we're talking about construction. Now we're being a bit more specific with how things are oriented in space. Now we have already seen some of that construction. Remember where? In the knee. Okay, so that's another thing. Now I'm gonna start throwing in some of the folds and creases of the clothes I'm seeing. I do aspire to have this have somewhat of a finished look. I do want it to have all of these beautiful creases, and the cloth is very thick, and I love that it gives you a lot to play with. I really enjoy that kind of thing. That's a completely different topic. I can make a video on that in the future. This mostly is about tension points. So where there is tension, where the cloth is stretched, you're going to get lines connecting these 2 points of tension. That's usually how it works. I'm going to add the hair. The hair can be a nice way to break the flow a bit, add some specificity, and especially if you also want to shade it, that just gives it a bit more interest, a bit more information. And yeah, here is the final result. I hope that makes sense. I hope that clears things for you. Drawing is one of those things, again, you kind of have to do your own independent research into what interests you. If something does not interest you, that's okay, don't explore it. If you don't even care about drawing and all you want to do is trace and maybe paint, that's fine too. But in any case, thank you so much for watching. I want to thank everyone who supports me over on Patreon. You make it possible for me to make tons of videos for free for everyone to watch. Check it out if you want to become a supporter and receive credits at the end of the videos once again. And feel free to check out my courses, all links in the description box below. If you're looking for an art book, a book that has my art in it, a lot of paintings of cars, be sure to check that out as well. The book is out on Amazon. And that's it. Thank you so much. We'll see you in the next vid. Take care.